What's poppin'? It's Mello back at you with another video, and today what we're getting into is the basics of making melodies. We're gonna get straight to it, but before we do that, I need you to put a like on the video, be sure to subscribe, help your boy out. You see my glasses fogging, we doing this for you. Let's get to it. So I'm gonna have a melody series as far as some basics when it comes to making melodies, but today we're going over some of the basics as far as making melodies. So the first thing we're going to go over is what notes to strike when the chords are hitting. So when you have a melody overlapping the chords at the same time that they strike, it's best to pick certain notes that sound good. You can hit any note that you like that sounds good with it, because this is the thing, there are no rules, but I'm going to give you some basic guidelines so that you don't mess with these, because in most cases they sound good. So the first thing, as far as how a chord breaks down, the bottom note of any chord is usually considered the root. And then you have the middle note, which would be considered a third. And then you have the top note, which would be considered a fifth. So I broke that down in the chords video. If you're not aware of that, you should watch it. So when the chord is striking, whatever the third or the fifth note, these two right here, are in a chord, you can hit those in a higher octave. For example, if you look at the red notes match the top note in each of these chords. So we got an A sharp right here. We got an A sharp an octave higher. We got a F here. We got an F higher. And it does the same thing for all the other chords. Let's listen to it very quickly. And let's listen to an example of the thirds. But before we do that, notice that the red notes are higher than the chords as far as the velocity down here. And I do that so that the top melody can stand out. So with this example, we're taking the middle note of each chord and striking that at the same time in a higher octave to start off the melody. So down here you have an F sharp. We did an F sharp up here. C sharp. We did a C sharp up here. D sharp. We did a D sharp up there. And you get it. So let's listen to it. So when the chords are striking, you can also hit the root, which is these notes right here, the bottom notes, and that's fine. And also any other notes you hear that sound good to you, you can hit those, but this is a simple way to ensure that you have a good sounding note and it doesn't clash with the chord that's hitting. And put it at least 1 to 2 octaves away and everything will go smooth. All right, so we're gonna go over a concept called steps. So basically all steps is traveling from the last note that you hit up or down one note. As long as the note is the next note in the scale, then that's a step. All the light gray notes represent what's in the scale. We're the D sharp. If I go anywhere vertical, one note within the scale, that means up or down, one note in the scale. That distance will be a step. So we're a D. If I go down one note in the scale, that's a step down. If I go up one note, that's a step up. Now, when we go from this note, if I decide to go back down one note in the scale or go up another note in the scale, that distance from F to G or from F to D sharp again is gonna be considered a step as well. With this, we have the example where I laid out all the red notes and those are the fifths. So when it comes to the blue notes, those are the in between and they're gonna take steps towards the notes that I mentioned. We're gonna play the melody really quick. Now we're gonna go over skips. Skips are when you go from one note to an interval that's more than one note away. And that's in either direction, up or down. We started D sharp again. If we go up one note or down one note within the scale, that would be a step. If we go down more than one note from the note we just hit, or if we go up more than one note from the note we just hit, that would be a skip. We started D sharp. If we go one note up in the scale, that would be F. That would be a step. That would be a skip because it's 2 notes away And you could say 2 steps, but anything 2 steps or more would be a skip. So even if I do that, that's a skip. Even if I do this right here in the other direction, 3 notes down, that's still a skip. So when we look at this, we start at F sharp. Now a step would be this distance right here, but instead we go 2 steps up. So that will be a skip because we're skipping 1 note. But let's just listen to this really quick. So of course, in some of your melodies, you may want to implement a mixture of these. In some, you might just want to do steps. This will give you a good understanding of what to do after you hit the notes that align with the chords or just in between. Because the truth is, when it comes to a melody, after the chord strikes, in most cases, if it's not a hard sustaining instrument that you have, you know, you can hit almost any notes in the scale and it'll be fine. But when you have a bunch of notes hitting at the same time, there has to be harmony between the notes. So hitting the wrong note can sometimes mess up the harmony. I'll have another tutorial on harmony and we'll go over that another time, another day, sometime soon. So this is when we start to get to the meat and potatoes of the tutorial that we're doing. We're gonna talk about a motif first. So what a motif is a short musical idea as far as a melody that is basically 1 to 2 measures. Let's play it very quickly. So that is a motif. It's a very short musical idea. It's basically what you start with. Now let's talk about a phrase very quickly. So what a phrase is basically a musical sentence. We have this 2-bar idea and it has a rhythm. We're gonna repeat that rhythm with different notes and it's gonna be the same rhythm. That would be a phrase. So basically we have a 4-measure loop. I want to make a 8-measure loop. And that's when we get into variation. And basically it'll be 2 phrases. And we're going to go over something very quickly, which is resolving the melody. Now let's talk about cadence. And I talked about cadence in my chords video as far as chord progressions. So that video, I talked about that in. But let's talk about this in reference to melody. The cadence is usually 5-to-1 or 4-to-1, and that's authentic cadence, plagal cadence. You don't really need to know that too in depth, but I'm gonna give you the science, basically how it works. So we are in a C. So with this, we are in a C minor scale as far as this melody. When you look at the melody, we have 2 phrases. So how you do the call and response, when you end the melody on the first phrase, you want some type of emphasis on the 4th or 5th note within the scale. So what does that mean? 1, 2, 3, either 4 or 5. If you do that, you know it's going to create some dissonance. But when you get to the end of the second phrase, you want to end it on the tonic or put emphasis on the tonic somewhere around the end of the melody. Let's listen to this melody very quick. And you see how that ended? With this, I did the steps up to the note. With this, I did the steps down to the note. But they sound different. This pretty much creates some tension and stuff like that. This right here creates a resolve. So it's that simple. So you don't have to end the melody with a long note, but again, you want to make sure there's emphasis on it. So let's throw a few other notes in there. So now you see the extra notes that I added in at the end, but still, this kind of drags out for a minute to put emphasis on those notes to create the resolve and the tension that we need at the different points in the phrase. Let's play it now. So that is how you do a call and response with the phrasing and create tension and resolving within a melody. So that's some good game, and you could use that in your melodies immediately. Now, just for the sake of showing you that this melody can work with a harmony, I put a harmony under it, but just listen to it with the melody. So boom, there you have it. That is how you do it. Those are some of the melody basics as far as what notes to hit at what time. I'm going to be doing videos in the future about rhythm and things like that. I hope you got some value from this video. I'm going to have more coming in the melody series. I'm going to do a lot more melodic videos and things like that to teach you a lot more. But be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss anything in the future. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this. Let me know if you have any questions. You know, just leave some feedback. But other than that, I'll see y'all another day, somehow, some way. I'm out.